y'all, Shelley here with another tip for hospice nurses. So y'all know most of our nurses notes these days are set up so that we have our system assessment, or the flow assessment as I call it, and that's the section with all of the little check boxes and a place to make a little note under each checkbox section if you want to make a note there, and then a place to make a big nurse's note. So I get a lot of questions about whether or not I make notes in these little boxes under each system, and the answer is it depends. I'm not a big fan of double documenting, so I know that I'm going to document heavily in my nurse's note to support eligibility based on the patient's hospice diagnosis. So if I'm documenting on that system assessment, like say if it's an Alzheimer's patient and I'm doing the neuro assessment, more than likely I'm not going to make a note there because I know I'm going to address it in my big note. Same thing like if it's COPD and I'm doing a pulmonary assessment, more than likely I'm not going to make a note there because I'm going to do it in my big note. Unless the EMR is set up in a way that pushes us into documenting something that doesn't support eligibility. And interestingly, I'm seeing this more and more. It seems like we're getting worse at this and not better. I work as an amity nurse, so I am working a lot of different hospice agencies, and I use a lot of different EMRs all the time. And it just seems like this is getting to be more of a problem. For example, just last week, I was documenting on a patient that had COPD, and in this EMR, when I was doing the pulmonary assessment, in the checkbox part, my choices were clear, crackles and rails, rhonchi, or absent. There was no other, and there was no diminished, which was really weird. So I had to check clear because their lung sounds were clear. They didn't have any adventitious sounds, but this person was COPD, so they were severely diminished. So I ended up putting that as just a quick note in the bottom section: weak inspiratory effort due to progressively worsening COPD, bilateral breath sounds severely diminished, minimal airflow appreciated. I put that there. Even though I redocumented that down at the bottom again, I felt like because that note was actually going to contradict eligibility, I needed to address it in the section where the note was. So that's kind of how I do that. Otherwise, I'm not going to put any note there. If it's a section that is not really related to the hospice diagnosis, I may make a quick little short note in the system assessment because I know I'm not going to document on that in my big note. And I think what I'm going to do, because this gets really complicated, so I'll do several videos on the more common hospice diagnosis and run through each system assessment and what type of note I would do. If y'all would like that, I'll do that to make it more simple. But the answer to the question is, basically, I'm not going to redocument. I'm not going to document in two different places. So I hope this tip was helpful. If you have anything that you'd like me to talk about, please let me know. I would love to share it here. And y'all remember, if we work together, we can change our world.